This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here are today's top stories from Armenia, Nagorno-Karabakh, and the region. This afternoon, Azerbaijani forces opened fire again at a multi-million-dollar metallurgical plant under construction in the Armenian border village of Yerazkh. In a statement, the company behind the venture said there were no injuries in today's incident. Armenia's defense ministry has not publicly commented on the matter. Since June, the construction site has repeatedly come under Azerbaijani fire, with 2 Indian nationals working there suffering serious injuries in one incident several weeks ago. The plant is a joint venture set up by Armenian and American investors who have pledged to commit up to $70 million to the project and say it will create as many as 1,000 jobs in Yerazkh, a small village on the border with Azerbaijan's Nakhichevan exclave. Over the weekend, Azerbaijan allowed natural gas to flow to Nagorno-Karabakh for the first time since March, before again cutting the territory's gas supply just hours later. That is according to the state-run Artsakh Info Center, which said the authorities in Stepanakert directed the limited supplies to gas stations for civilians to fill their vehicles. Within hours, the gas had run out. Toivo Klar, the European Union's special representative to the region, said the development was disappointing and frustrating and called for Nagorno-Karabakh's energy supplies to be restored without restrictions. A number of crucial pieces of infrastructure, including the sole natural gas pipeline and only high-voltage electrical line supplying energy to Nagorno-Karabakh, runs from Armenia through territory ceded to Azerbaijan at the end of the 2020 war. On Sunday, the Artsakh Info Center said, during the 210 days of Azerbaijan's blockade of Artsakh, the electricity supply from Armenia to Artsakh has been interrupted for 181 days, and the gas supply has been interrupted for a total of 143 days. In addition to rolling blackouts, Nagorno-Karabakh's more than 100,000 Armenians are also grappling with severe shortages of food, medicine, and other essentials. In related news, a United Nations court last Friday reaffirmed its earlier decision ordering Azerbaijan to allow transit to resume along the sole overland route connecting Nagorno-Karabakh and Armenia. At the same time, the International Court of Justice dismissed an appeal by Armenia asking the court to order Azerbaijan to withdraw its forces from the Lachin corridor. Since December, Azerbaijan has blocked nearly all traffic along the corridor, with only vehicles belonging to the Red Cross and Russian peacekeepers typically allowed to pass. That is despite the 2020 ceasefire saying the Russian peacekeepers should control the route. In February, the International Court of Justice ordered Azerbaijan to take all measures at its disposal to ensure unimpeded movement of persons, vehicles, and cargo along the Lachin corridor in both directions. Though the ruling is legally binding, the court has no enforcement powers, and the decision has in effect been ignored in Baku. Also last Friday, 2 Armenian soldiers who were captured by Azerbaijani forces earlier this year were sentenced to 11.5 years in prison in Azerbaijan on terrorism and other charges. The trial lasted less than a week. In May, Armenia's defense ministry reported losing contact with the 2 servicemen in a heavily forested area in southeastern Armenia. A few hours later, Baku claimed the 2 soldiers had been captured after crossing into Azerbaijani territory on a failed sabotage mission. Yerevan quickly rejected that version of the events and said the soldiers were in fact abducted by Azerbaijani troops who had crossed into Armenian territory. There is speculation Baku may try to swap the 2 Armenian servicemen for a pair of Azerbaijani soldiers who were apprehended in April after crossing into Armenia. One of the Azerbaijani soldiers was sentenced to 11.5 years in prison on charges of illegally crossing the border, while the other was given 20 years for murdering an Armenian civilian before he was taken into custody. Back in Yerevan, the 20th annual Golden Apricot International Film Festival is running all this week. The festival, one of Yerevan's most anticipated yearly cultural events, showcases the work of up-and-coming filmmakers from Armenia and around the world. If you're in Yerevan, be sure to check out the film screenings around town. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground in Armenia, Nagorno-Karabakh, and the region.